The second 9/11 tribute ship constructed by the U.S. Navy was USS Arlington. Like its sister ship, USS New York, Arlington is home ported in Norfolk, Virginia. For new sailors coming aboard, checking into Arlington is a unique experience. During their orientation to the ship, sailors are led through this hatch, above which the words "We will never forget" are painted. Inside this hatch is the 9/11 tribute room. The Arlington Tribute Room is dedicated to those who lost their lives at the Pentagon and to the first responders who risked their lives to save others. Seeing this room is an essential part of becoming a crew member aboard Arlington. On the bulkhead of the corridor leading to the tribute room is a list of 184 people who lost their lives on Flight 77 and at the Pentagon. It was in memory of these men and women that USS Arlington was built. The Arlington Tribute Room tells their story. The first item visible inside Arlington's tribute room is the 9/11 quilt by Diane Braid Lumpkin and the 8th grade students at Thomas Jefferson Middle School in Arlington, Virginia. Notice the writing on the quilt. Inside each square is the name of a victim. These are referred to as hero squares. Outside are quotes from President George W. Bush's speech at the National Cathedral just days after the attack. This quilt is the tribute room's centerpiece. Images that symbolize the ship's heritage are spread throughout the room, none more visually striking than the ship's crest. Every detail is in some way connected to 9/11. Notice the rope that outlines the seal. Each twist represents one of the 184 lives lost at the Pentagon. The shield is in the shape of the Pentagon, with the red representing the section that was struck. The wreath is dedicated to Pentagon first responders. In the center is the Arlington House, which is a well-known historic site located within Arlington Cemetery. The two benches represent the Pentagon Memorial, where 184 benches commemorate the victims. If you look closely, you can see how the eagle's wings mirror the shape of the two benches. Cradling the crest is the ship's motto: strength, honor, fortitude. An enlarged photo of the Pentagon Memorial hangs between the crest case and the 9/11 quilt, which stretches the length of the entire bulkhead. USS New York, Arlington, and Somerset are part of the Navy's direct response to the attacks. They were built to honor the nation's experiences and resolve after 9/11. The crew of Arlington takes pride in that fact, and it is reflected in the ship's tribute room. For instance, this American flag was flown on target during Operation Neptune Spear, which was the May 2011 raid on Osama bin Laden's compound. The memorial room and the artifacts within help sailors connect to the events of 9/11 and their ship's mission, thus giving them a sense of purpose and pride in their duties. Items such as this mangled I-beam, distorted pieces of metal, rusted bolts, and a shard of Indiana limestone recovered from the Pentagon bring home the reality and relevance of events that might now seem remote to some. Not all the 9/11 items are confined to this space. Not far from the tribute room sits this Pentagon Metro bench. Throughout the ship, one can find artwork representing the Pentagon attack and the Arlington's mission. The sailors of USS Arlington know their ship is special. Staff members of the Hampton Roads Naval Museum had the privilege to speak to some of the ship's crew and ask them what it meant to them personally to serve on a 9/11 memorial ship. Here is what they had to say.
Being on the Arlington is like being a part of something that is bigger than myself and a huge part of American history. I was 3 years old, 4 years old, when the events of 9/11 happened. And though I may not remember the events super vividly, because I was so young, I still remember the feelings of that day, just being very somber and, and now being on this ship, I feel like it's a way to continue to educate and remember and honor those who are lost. As the 9/11 saying is, we'll never forget, and this ship is a piece of never forgetting what happened on that day.
So I'm actually from New York, and I was in high school when 9/11 happened. So I remember all the details of the event very vividly. Everyone crying, them wheeling in the TVs into the classrooms, and everyone watching it on the news as it was happening. So it was really hectic. And coming to a ship that's actually namesaked after that event, it brings like a sense of pride to me. It brings me full circle, kind of connects me back to home.
I wasn't really old enough to remember, but I think that being here and being a part of this, not only are we a worship, but also a memorial, it's given me an opportunity to learn more about it, to kind of look back on it and be present more than I ever have before. So it means a lot to me to be a part of something bigger.
Now, 20 years later, as we reflect back on the tragedy of that day, the human cost, the pain felt by thousands of families who lost their loved ones, it is also important that we remember those acts of selflessness and heroism, how a reeling nation came together. That is what these three ships represent: New York, Arlington, and Somerset. Never forget.